So welcome everyone to the Creating Website Content webinar. My name is Michael. I will be taking you today through the webinar and introducing all these different tools to you. I am joined today by my co-host here, Robin.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
So Robin will be going throughout the webinar. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to go ahead and post it in the Q&A section of Zoom. And throughout the webinar, Robin will be going through all of the questions that you submit, and he'll be responding back to each one of you to hopefully answer your questions as best as he can. Towards the end of the webinar, we will, just like every other changeover session that we've had this week, over the past week, we will be having a short Q&A section towards the end, where Robin will be going through some of the questions that you've asked and some of the more common questions you've asked, some of the more interesting ones, to go through and give us a little preview of that as well. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, sorry, there is one more note. I apologize for that. This webinar is being recorded, so if at any point you guys need to jump out of the webinar, maybe you have an emergency or something comes up and you're not able to attend for the rest of the webinar, this is being recorded and we will share it on our clubrunnersupport.com website. So don't worry if you need to jump out, you'll still be able to come back and revisit it as soon as everything's been made available to you. So with all that said, now we can actually go ahead and get started with the webinar. So let's take a look at some of the items that we will be covering today. Mainly we'll be going through and creating a bunch of new content for your website. So in the earlier webinar today and the webinar yesterday, you were introduced to the website designer, which brought you through and allowed you to create and customize your club's homepage. And that introduced you to a bunch of different tools and widgets that you can use to share content on your website. Today, we'll be going over how to actually go through and make that content that is available, that can be made available on your website. So that includes things like creating stories and news articles, uploading photo albums. So if you have say you have like a club event, and you have a handful of photos that you want to share with the rest of your club, you can use that. You can use photo albums to do that. We will also be touching on how you can upload and manage various different document types across your website. This was touched on briefly in one of the previous webinars, but we'll go through it again today. And we'll also touch on creating speaker events, website sponsors, and we also will touch on creating custom pages today as well. So this is pretty much about everything that we're going to be talking about today. As a reminder, if you do have any questions as we're going through this, please feel free to type into the Q&A section of the webinar, and we will, and Robin will be going through and answering your questions as we go through. Sorry about that. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead. Oh, sorry, wrong thing. There we go. Well, I'm actually that was the wrong page. There we go. So here we are. We are currently logged into our club's homepage or member area. Everything that we will be touching on today, with one exception, can all be accessed with the level 60 editor access level. So you do not need to be a site administrator like we are logged in as right now. If you have access to this editor's dashboard, you will have access to pretty much everything that we will be touching on. There is one exception to that, as I mentioned just a moment ago, but when that does come up, I will make a note of that just to let you know. So the very first thing that I want to look at today is how you can go about creating and uploading club news and stories to your website. So if you remember, let me actually go ahead and visit our club homepage. I don't actually have it here. Let's go ahead and open this up. So this is what our club homepage looks currently. Now, if we were to scroll down just a little bit, you can see we have a club stories section here. where we have a number of different articles that are listed. So we have Young Inventor Eco-Friendly Bricks Come Full Circle, Rotary's Response to the 1918 Flu Pandemic, as well as Rotary at the Start of the United Nations. These are three different articles that have been created on our website. And you can see they each have an image associated with them, as well as some nice text, like an introductory text to them. But if you wanted to read more, you can either go ahead and click on the title of that story, or you can click on the Read More button just below it as well. If you were to click on the title or that Read More button, it'll bring you to the full page where you'll have access to the full story here. And you'll be able to go through and read throughout that however you wish. So this is what we're going to be taking a look at creating. How you can go through and create a new article for your stories widget, and how you can go through and customize the text and have what's included within it. So let's actually go ahead and navigate back to the member area. And we're now going to navigate to the website content homepage. So in order to access that page, in the top blue navigation menu, we're going to go ahead and click on Website. And then in the secondary gray navigation menu, we're going to click on Website Content. This is the Getting Started page for all of our website content, and will kind of act as the portal to access the different things that we can create. So the very first one that we want to click on, as I mentioned, we're going to touch on stories. So there are 6 gray boxes here. The very first one on the left-hand side is Homepage Stories. And if we click on that, it'll go ahead and load up the Stories widget library for us. So this page is titled Stories for Homepage. And you can see there's a couple of different things on this page of interest. First, you might see the Go To section, which has a button for you to access the story library. This is a big archive of all of the stories and articles that your club has created. The Stories widget Go To button will bring you to a list of all of the stories that are stories or articles that are currently displayed on the homepage stories widget. So the 3 articles that we saw when we were looking at that homepage is what we have displayed here. The stories list page is a list of all the stories that is displayed within the built-in stories list page. So this is another page that is provided with every club account, club or district account, which is just one big list of all the stories that you can add here. And this is where you can go about controlling that. And then the custom page stories and bulletin stories options are stories that are listed on various different custom pages or bulletins as well. But for today, the main ones that we're going to be looking at is the story library and the stories widget Go To option. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the stories widget page, to where we can see the 3 stories that are currently listed on our homepage at the moment. If you wanted to go through and edit any of these stories, you can simply go ahead and click on their title, and that will open up the widgets, the story content editor. At the very top, you'll have access to the story settings, which allows you to change things like the title of the story, the permalink. You can change this as well. This will essentially affect the website URL that would be used to access the full story on your website. This should be automatically filled in for you based on the title that you enter. You don't necessarily need to go through and change this, but if for any reason you wanted to shorten it or just change it up however you would like, you can adjust it how you see fit. You can also set the author of a story. So if we wanted to say, we'll set Rusty Cutting here. Oh, there we go. There we go. Sorry about that. We'll be able to go ahead and select Rusty Cutting here as the author by typing in his name, and then he'll appear in that drop-down menu that you saw, and then where we can click on him to add him as the author. Now, there is a little icon to the right of that author field. It looks like a little eye with a line through it. If you were to click on this icon, it will change to just to a regular eye with no line through it. This is what you can do to either choose to show or hide the author on that full page where we can read the full story. So if you wanted to leave this information hidden, but you wanted to have it only saved in the back end, you can just make sure that the eye with the line through it is the one that's displayed. Or if you want to share that information, you can go ahead and leave it as the eye without the line. Next is the date. So you can select the date that the story was written, the date that the story was published, the date that it was last edited. You can feel free to use this date however you would like, but by default, this is set to the date that the story was initially created. So if you wanted to change this however you would like, all you need to do is click on the date field here. This little calendar will pop up where we can select the day of the month, or we can use these drop-down menus at the top to select the individual individual month of the year or the year itself. So all we need to do to select a date is select the month and the year, and then we can go ahead and select the date that we want to use. So in this case, we can set it to today's date, April 22nd, and it'll automatically be updated for us after we click on that date. Next is the social media option. This is a cool tool that you can enable for each one of your stories. And this will add an option for individuals to go through and share share the story on various different social medias. So I believe that this includes Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. So we can go ahead and enable that. But we are just going to go ahead and create our own story in just a moment here. Now, if we scroll down a little bit further, there are two sections of content that we can enter. The very first one, I'm zooming in just a little bit. The very first one is the story brief section. Now, the way that I like to describe the story brief is the very first eye-grabbing paragraph or pieces of information that you want to display to readers to go through and actually hook them into your story so they go through and read the rest of it. That's the content that you would place within the story brief. It is the very first thing that anyone will read, and it is what will be displayed on your homepage. So if we actually go back to our homepage really quickly, for the Young Inventor Eco-Friendly Bricks Come Full Circle story, all of this content that we see here within this widget, this is what's been entered into that story brief section. And if we click Read More, then we will still see that story brief section, but now we have access to the rest of the content, which is listed under the story content section. So let's move back. Just to recap, the story brief is the very first thing that someone will read and what will be displayed on your homepage, provided in the website widget on your homepage. The story content is the big bulk of the story that will be accessed after someone has gone ahead and clicked on the Read More button, and they bring up the full page for that story. So that's where you can go ahead and enter in your content. And if we scroll down just a little bit further, we can see the blog option. Now, these are some interesting tools that you can use. The very first one is the comments the comments option. So here you can choose to enable comments for your story. And what this will do is essentially add the ability for members to comment on the actual page that you can see that full story. So if we were to go through and enable these comments here by checking that box. We'll see this close comments section appear as well. But I'm going to go ahead and save and publish. And now if we refresh this page and we scroll down to the bottom, we now see that there is a comments section that has appeared where individuals can now go ahead and leave their own comments on the stories that we've created. So for example, if I was a visitor of the club website and I've just read through this story, I can go ahead and I can leave a comment. Wow, well, that was very insightful. Thank you for sharing. And we can now post that to the story, and anyone else that's coming through and reading this article will be able to see our comments, and we can leave notes for the club that has written the story or anything like that. So this is a really cool feature that you can take advantage of. Next, let's go ahead and open up that same story one more time. So for this close comments option that you see here, occasionally clubs will go through, they'll enable comments, and after a certain period of time, you decide, okay, we don't want these comments anymore, or we don't want to accept new comments after maybe like a period of 2 weeks or whatever you would like. You can come back here and close the comments section. And now no new comments will be allowed, but the existing ones will still remain on the page. If you want to disable them outright, you can just uncheck the comments option entirely. Next is the tags section. So the tags are individual keywords that you can add that are related to the story that you're creating. And whenever an individual is going through and they are searching along your website using the search bar, or they're going through like a search engine like Google, these tags will help them locate that story. So for example, if we wanted to add here, let's add some tags here. So we can add the youth, we can say invention, rotary. No, we'll leave it at that for now. So if someone were to go on your website and start searching for these keywords, this will help raise this article to the top of those search results. So if you want to make sure that your stories are being seen, I always recommend that you add tags to it. And you can use various different keywords that are associated with the article that help to describe it. You can add things that maybe would be associated with the article itself, that would maybe like alternate words, synonyms. You can put those all in here, and that's a great way to kind of boost that search engine optimization for your stories. Now, if you've made any changes and you want to push those to the public, all you need to do is go ahead and click on the Save and Publish button down at the bottom right corner. Or if you wanted to save your changes so that you can come back at a later time and continue to make more additions to it, you can instead click Save Changes as Draft. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Publish. And now we are brought back to that stories page. Now we've gone through and we've edited a story here. Sorry, I had a little stumble there. We've edited a story, but how do you actually go through and make your own? What you can do in this case is go ahead and click on the Create New Story button on the right-hand side of the page. It is colored, it is an orange color here to help differentiate it. If we click on that button, it'll bring us to essentially the exact same page, but everything's blank new. So we can go through and we can manually enter in all this information that we just taken a look at. So let me go ahead and pull up some text that I have here. And let's go ahead and enter in our new story. So we can set the title to whatever we would like. I'm using some lorem ipsum pre-generated text in this case for the sake of the example. But you can feel free to, of course, you can add whatever content that you would like, whatever words, it doesn't really matter. As long as you're writing it down, that's good. So we have our title here. If you wanted to add any formatting or styling to this title, you can go ahead and click on this format link just to the right. And here you'll be able to do things like bold, italicize, underline, change the color of the text. You can change the styling, the font style, the size itself. Or if you wanted to, you can even go in and edit the actual raw HTML of that title by clicking on that source option that's there. And this will give you direct access to the HTML. And you can adjust that however you like if that's something that you are familiar with and you are comfortable changing. This is a bit of a more advanced feature here. So if you don't know what this is or you don't feel confident in your abilities to make changes here, I would not recommend touching this and just sticking to the regular tools. But that is something that is available for you if you are you do have web design capabilities, you do know things like HTML and CSS. Next, we can see that the permalink was automatically filled in for us based off of the title that we've entered. You can go ahead and set the author just as we did before. We'll leave the date as today's date since we're writing it today. And we'll go ahead and enable the social media option. Now let's go ahead and actually get started entering in some content for our story. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste some of this pre-generated text that I have here. So I'm just going to go ahead and let me pull it up actually over here. So I have this here. I'm just going to copy. And then we can go ahead and we can paste our text using these three options up at the top. So the very first paste option here, where I'm in the toolbar, we'll simply open up this window where we can then paste our text into it. This will go ahead and paste the text in using all of the same formatting that you've already had. So if you've applied styling in another program, I would recommend doing it this way. That way, all of that formatting will carry over. Now, if you wanted to paste the text completely raw and start applying your own styling within ClubRunner, you can use the next option just beside it. It looks like a little clipboard with a T, and that is paste as plain text. If we click on that and we enter in the information here, it'll do the exact same thing, but this time it will strip any of the formatting that has been applied to it before it was copied into ClubRunner. And then finally, the last option is to paste from Word. It looks like a little clipboard with a W inside of it. If we open up this, we will see the exact same section, or a very similar window, I should say. We can paste our content into it, and then we can go ahead and click OK, and that will also go ahead and paste the text into our system here. You would want to use this paste from Word option if you have you've specifically written up your article beforehand in a Word document. Word uses some special formatting features, so it's important if you are using Word to write up your documents and copying it over into ClubRunner that you do use this paste from Word option. If you wanted to undo or redo some actions, you can use these left and right arrows. And then as we move along, you'll have some access to additional tools. So we can insert numbered lists, bulleted lists. We could increase or decrease the indent of our text. If we wanted to, we can go through and add a link. And we have all of these different options that we can use to customize our story. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but I do want to touch on just a couple. So let me actually go through and repaste in some of our story to our brief here. So I'm going to go ahead and paste as plain text. And now we have this here. Just to make this a little, let me extend this just a little bit. So if you wanted to give yourself a little bit more room to work with or increase the view size of this content editor, in the bottom right corner of each editor, you will find a little gray triangle in the bottom right corner where you can click and drag it up and down to increase or decrease the size however you would like. So I'll go ahead and leave it as this for now. Now this text, we've added in our story brief, but it looks a little bit boring right now. So let's go ahead and add a couple of things. First, I'm going to go through and I'm going to format some of the text here. So I'm going to bold this first sentence by clicking on the bold option. It looks like a little B within, it looks like a capital B within that toolbar, content editor toolbar. If we wanted to say underline something, we can do that with the underline option. It looks like a capital U with a little line underneath it to indicate an underline. We can do something like italicize text. This is all the exact same formatting tools that you would have in another word editor, just like Microsoft Word or Office. So everything that you're familiar with there in terms of these basic formatting tools will also be available within this editor here. Now, what if you wanted to add, say, something like an image to our story? That is something that we can do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the very first line here so we can place our cursor right in front of our text. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and click on the image toolbar option. It has a little icon of a picture and the text image within that toolbar option. If we click on that, this image properties window will appear for us. And this will allow us to go through and start setting some of the settings for setting some properties for our image that we're going to include. But we haven't actually selected an image quite yet. So let's go ahead and do that. Next to the URL field, you can go ahead and click Browse Server. And this will go ahead and open up the image library. There we go. Let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger for you. This will go ahead and open up the image library window for us here, where we can now go through and select one of the images that have been uploaded to the image library already. So there's none in this folder. So along the left-hand side, I'm going to go ahead and click on My Images. And now you can see it's loaded up with a handful of images that we've already uploaded here. If you wanted to go through and add your own images, you can go ahead and click on the Upload button at the top of this window. It looks like a little green circle with a white plus in the center of it. And then the text upload is right next to it. If we click on that, a new window will appear, which will allow us to navigate through the various different files, the various different files on our local computer. So you'll want to navigate to where you have your images stored. And then we can go ahead and select the image that we want to upload. And then all we need to do is go ahead and click Open. This will upload the file to ClubRunner. And we now see that the window has updated and the image we've uploaded is now displayed here. Once we've uploaded our image, all we need to do is double click on the image we want to select. And you can see that this preview has now populated with our image. So let's go ahead and we're going to click OK at the bottom of the image properties window. And this will now insert that image into our story. There we go. So we've uploaded the image, but in this case, the image looks like it's a little bit too big for us. It's kind of taking up the entire space of the story brief section. So we want to make this smaller. What we can do is right click on the image that we've just added it. And we can go to image properties. This will open up the exact same image properties window we were just looking at. And now we can go through and make some changes to the properties of this image. If you want to set some alternative text, so in the event that the image is unable to load, you can add some alternative text that will be displayed instead. This is very useful. So if someone is on a slow internet connection and they can't download the image, you can add this alternative text, and will be very helpful. So we can say a man and a woman working together. Now, the thing that we want, the main thing that we're looking at right now is the width and the height fields, which are the next ones in the window. These two fields are what decide the size or the final size of the image, and how it's displayed. So in this case, it's currently set to 1,980 pixels wide and 1,320 pixels tall. So if we wanted to adjust this, all we need to do is go ahead and change the number that's listed here. In this case, we want to make the image smaller, so I'm going to set it to a smaller number. Let's go ahead and try 500. So we've gone ahead and updated it, and you can see that the preview window here, you can see that the image has changed size and it's a little bit more clear. But I still think it might be a little bit too big. So I'm going to go ahead and try changing that one more time. Let's try 250. That might be a little bit better for us. So there we go. It has now been updated. And it's now looking like it'll be a reasonable size for us in this case. Now, you might have noticed that when we change the value in the width option, the height actually changed as well. So why did that happen? In this case, right next to the width and height fields, there is a little lock icon next to it. And if we hover over it, it says lock ratio. So what this lock does is it'll take the two values for the width and the height, and it will get the ratio between the two. So say for every two values in the width, so every 2 pixels of the width, though there is one for the height, it will keep that aspect ratio for you, so that there is no stretching in either direction. That will distort the image. For example, if we were to go ahead and click on this lock ratio button, it'll change to a lock that has now been opened, an unlocked lock. And now, if we were to go ahead and adjust the width of this image, you can now see that the text or the image itself is being stretched out. So there is now a lot of distortion to this image because it's being the image itself is being stretched to fit these new proportions that we've set. So generally, unless you know what you're doing, I would recommend leaving this locked so that and let the system automatically adjust the other parameter so that everything looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and set that back to 250. Next, there is the border option. So if you wanted to add a border around that image, we can add a border here. This works by setting the amount of pixels you want that how big you want that border to be. So if we wanted a border of say 10 pixels, you can go ahead and do that, and you'll see that update in real time in that preview there. We can set that to 5. We can set that to 1. You can set it to whatever you would like. I'll go ahead and I'll leave it as 1 for now, because I think that I think that looks the nicest. Next is the H space and the V space. Both of these fields stand for horizontal space and vertical space respectively. These two fields will add padding in between the image and the text that is surrounding it. So in this case, if we go ahead and click OK, you can see that the image is here, but immediately after the text starts, there's no space in between the two, and that can make it look a little wonky, in my opinion. So what we can do is we can go back into our image properties, and we can set the H space and the V space to whatever value we want. Let's go ahead and set it to 10 and 5 for now. For your specific cases, you might want to play around with these values to see to how you can get it to look the best to yourself. But in this case, this seems okay for me, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now you can see that it's updated one more time, and now it's increased the space between the first word that we have here, as well as the next line that's right below it. So it adds that little bit of white space to separate the image and the text. Now I think that makes it look just a little bit nicer when someone's going through and reading the article. Finally, the very last option in our image properties is the align option. So if you're familiar with Microsoft Word or any other text editing tool, this will allow you to anchor that image to either the left or the right side of the article. So for example, if we go ahead and set it to left, you can see that all of the text is now wrapping around that image. So it makes that format even just a little bit nicer. It's now going down the full length of the image, and it automatically wraps around it. If we set it to right, it'll do the exact same thing, but now it's on the right-hand side of the article and the text. So we've gone through, we've added our image, we've added some content to the story brief. Let me go ahead and fill out the rest of the story content here as well. I'm just going to go ahead and paste in, I'm going to go ahead and paste in some more text here. Now, we've added an image. Now, let's add some other things that we can do here. The first thing that I want to add, we've finished our story, so now I'm going to add a link to where someone maybe we're advertising another charity, and we want to share a link to where individuals that are reading our article can go help. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and set our cursor to where we want to include that link. So we're going to have it right here at the bottom. And now we can go ahead and click on the link toolbar option. It looks like a little chain, a little chain or a link, and it has that text link right next to it. So if we click on that toolbar option, this link window will appear, and here we can start getting this all set up for us. The link type will allow you to select what type of link you want to use. So the default option is URL, which will allow you to set up, add in your own custom link to wherever you would like. So if you want to direct people to a third-party website, an external website, or just any specific page, you can use the URL link type, and you can manually enter in the URL for where you want it to go. So for example, we can say google.com, www.rotary.org, whatever you would like to do. But the other link types that are available to us will also allow you to really quickly link or provide a link to different sections of ClubRunner. So if we select built-in page, for example, we can select between a number of the different pre-created pages that are available for your club that have been designed and created by ClubRunner. If you select custom page, this will allow you to select any of the number of custom pages that your club might have created. Documents, you can select any documents that have been uploaded. Download files, the exact same thing. You can select any of the download files that have been uploaded. You can create a link to really quickly start an email, link to upcoming events, photo albums, volunteer sign-up lists, site pages, speakers, stories, all of these things you can really quickly link to using this link type option. For now, I'm going to go ahead and I'll leave it as the default URL. And we're going to go ahead and we're just going to link directly back to rotary.org. So we've entered in this URL, but and if we go ahead and click OK, it'll insert that text, or it'll insert that into our story. So you can see we now have that, we've gone through and we've added that link. Right now, if we click on it, it'll just allow us to edit the text. But once we publish this story and we view it on the website, individuals will be able to click on this and it'll direct them to the website. Now, what if we didn't want it to just say http://www.rotary.org? What if we wanted to, for example, have this be a sentence instead, which might make it look a little bit nicer instead of just having the URL there? What we can do is if we go back and if we right click on the link and click on edit link, we can go ahead and actually, oh, sorry, this is the wrong way to do this. My apologies. So instead of doing that way, we are first going to go ahead and type in the sentence that we want to do. So for example, we can type in, click here to visit Rotary International. Now we have that typed out. And if we click and drag over that text to select it, and now we click on the link option, we can do this exactly the same way. We'll go ahead and type in www.rotary.org. Click OK. And now that text has been updated instead. So instead of displaying as just the link itself, we now have that displayed as a nice little sentence for here. So let's go ahead and delete this first one. And now we have our main story content. We have a link to rotary.org. I also want to include a video in our story as well. Maybe your club has just done an event, and someone has uploaded a video recording of a bunch of the different events that were going on at that time. So they recorded everyone that had attended and just wanted to share that with the club. So what you can do in this case, you can choose to use that link option and just link individuals directly to it, or we can embed that video directly into the story so that it's displayed directly on your club website. So the very first thing that we need to do that is actually go ahead and grab the video that we want to share. So I already have one here pulled up. I'm going to go ahead over to our YouTube. This is the ClubRunner YouTube channel. And we have a ClubRunner mobile app video uploaded just to help advertise that mobile app. And we'll use this as our example for today. So what you can do, for next to each YouTube video, there is typically a share option. It has a little icon of an arrow popping out. If we click on that share button, this window will pop up. And the very first option we see here is the embed option. It's a little circle with two angled brackets within it. If we click on that button, and we will see a page just like this. And some code will be given to us to the right of the video, where if we go ahead and we copy this text, or if in the bottom right corner, you can click copy as well. That'll automatically copy that text for you. And we go back to our story editor. Now in the toolbar, we'll go ahead and click embed media. It looks like there's an icon next to it that looks it looks like camera film. You can click on that. And here we will go ahead and paste in that code that we just copied. So it'll look something like this. And when we go ahead and click OK, you'll see, let me make this just a little bit bigger. You'll see that that video that we were just looking at is now embedded directly in our story. So this is a really cool feature for you to use, and I recommend that you try this out. ClubRunner unfortunately does not support uploading videos directly to ClubRunner, so they will need to be uploaded to a third-party service like YouTube or Vimeo in order for this to work. So just be aware of that. Now we can go ahead and we've written our story, so let's finish this up here. We'll go ahead and enable comments, and we'll go ahead and we'll add some tags here. We'll use the exact same ones we used before. And then we'll go ahead and click save. Now, when you click save for a new story specifically, this window will appear. And this is just asking you where you want this story to appear on your website. So by default, the homepage stories widget option will be checked. And if this is checked, it will add it directly to that widget that we currently have on our homepage. As a note, if you do not have that widget already added to your homepage, it will still add it to the widget, but because that widget is not displayed on your website, it won't show up on the homepage or on the custom page or wherever you wanted to add it. So we'll go ahead and leave that checked. Now we can also choose to display it on the story list page as well. I usually recommend doing this unless you have a specific reason not to. So we'll go ahead and check that as well. You can also choose to add it to any bulletins that you might have had. In this case, we can go ahead and leave these blank because we're not working on any bulletins today. But if you do want to add it to your bulletins, you can do that as well. Once you're happy with this, go ahead and click the confirm button. And now we will see that the story Lorem Ipsum was added and published successfully. Now we can see we have the Lorem Ipsum story we just created at the top of the list, and we have the other three that are here now. But if you noticed, we also have a notice here that says, note, you currently have a maximum of 3 set to appear on the homepage. Go to the website designer and click Homepage Stories Widget Properties, the gear icon, to change this maximum. So when you see an error message like this number 3 might be different on your specific club. It depends on how many stories you've configured to appear within the widget. But when you see this, this means that the widget that is currently displayed on your homepage, or the widget itself, is set to display only a certain amount of stories at one time. So we have more than 3 stories currently added to the widget. So only the most recent 3 stories will be displayed when we look at our homepage. So in that case, that is the Lorem Ipsum, Young Inventor Eco-Friendly Bricks Come Full Circle, and the Rotary's Response to the 1918 Flu Pandemic Stories. These are the only ones that we see here. If you wanted to change this, you will require the level 30 site administrator access level to go in, look at the website designer, and change the properties of that story. So we've done that. Let's go ahead and we'll go back to our homepage. And if we scroll down, we now see that the Lorem Ipsum story that we created is now listed here. Of course, just like before, we can click on the name or the read more option to bring up the full story page. Here's all of the text and image that we added. Here is let me zoom in a little bit, it's a little small, but here is the link that we've added here. If we click on that, it'll bring us right to rotary.org. And here is the video that we've added as well. Sorry, that's a little loud. Let me mute that. So you can play the video directly within your website. Next, and so now we've gone through and we've added a story to our website. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other content that's available to you as well. The next thing I want to show you is the photo albums. So on the left-hand side of this page, let's actually go ahead and we'll navigate back to that getting started page. So just for the sake of the example. So in the top blue navigation menu, we're going to go ahead and click on website and then website content just below. And now we can go ahead and click on the homepage photo albums option that appears here. Go ahead and click that. And now we have a very similar page to our stories. So we can use the go-to to view the full photo album library, the photo album widget, the list page, as well as photo albums for our custom and bulletin pages. And now we also have some here, but let's go ahead and create a new photo album. We'll go ahead and click the orange Create New Photo Album button. And now we can go through and enter in the some basic details regarding that photo album. So we'll enter in the title. So let's say People in Action. The permalink will automatically be entered in for you. Then you can choose to enter in a description if you would like. Photo album of Rotarians putting in work to better the communities. Now you can choose to display this on the photo album's built-in page. And so you can uncheck this or leave it checked as you wish. You can set the owner to whoever you'd like. So set this to Rusty once again. The date, so you can use this date however you would like. By default, it is set to the date that this photo album is being created. If you want to add a logo for our photo album, you can do that. You can either upload one directly from your local device by clicking Browse, or if you have one uploaded to the image library, you can do that as well. You can also choose to set the social media display bar. And now we can also set the slideshow settings. So this is something we'll take a look at just a little bit. But essentially, with photo albums, you can create a slideshow. And these will determine how the interval time, so how often the images will transition between each other. The transition time changes how quickly these transitions happen. And the transition effect is essentially just how the transition happens, how that's animated. So you can go ahead and play around with these as you would like. I'll go ahead and leave them as the defaults for now. And we're just going to go ahead and click Save. Now you see our photo album People in Action was added successfully. But it looks like it's brought us back to that Getting Started page. So I'm going to navigate back to the homepage Photo Albums section. And now we see People in Action has been added here. If we click on the title, it will now open up the page where we can start adding all of our images into it. So I'm going to go ahead and click Upload Photos. And here we will see some instructions for us. So we can select our files by either dragging and dropping your files from your computer to the uploader box below, or you can click on this Add Files button instead. So let me go ahead. I have some images here. I'm just going to click and drag to highlight them all. And then I'm going to drag and drop them. I'm going to drag and drop them to this little gray box. And that will automatically insert them all here, where we can now click Start Upload to upload them to our new photo album. You can see on the right-hand side, underneath the status column, you can see the current status of them and the process, or how far along each individual image is gone through uploading. And once they've all finished, we'll get a nice little confirmation message saying that the upload has been complete. So go ahead and click OK. And that'll bring us back to the same page where we can now see all of the images that we've uploaded. If you wanted to add some more details to individual images, click on the Actions drop-down menu for the image you wanted to edit. Click the Edit Action. And now you can go ahead and enter in a title for that image and a description as well. I'm just entering these for the sake of the example, but you can put whatever you would like here. You can go ahead and click Save. And now this page has been updated to display that new title and description we've added to that image. So we've gone through, we've added these photo albums here. Now let's see if we can take a look at it. If we go ahead and navigate back to this photo albums page with the full list, and we click on the Actions drop-down menu for the photo album, we can go ahead and select View. And now we see we're on our website, and we now have access to this photo album page where we can see each of the images that we've uploaded. If we click on them, we can see the image, the title, and any description that we might have added. And then we can click the arrow keys or the arrow buttons to scroll through them. However, if you now go ahead, you exit out of one of your images, and this time we can start a slideshow of all of these different images by going ahead and clicking on the Start Slideshow button. And now a nice little slideshow will show up, and it'll go through and slowly transition between all of the images that you might have added to that photo album. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. That's essentially everything that you need to know for photo albums. It's a really useful tool for you to go through and use if you wanted to share images regarding specific events with your club or anything like that. Now, I do recommend you go through and you get these set up yourself, go through, play with them, see how you like them. But I do personally think that they are very useful in that regard. The next thing I wanted to take a look at is where we can go through and we can download files for our website. Now, if you were in the Basics Website Designer webinar yesterday, we did go ahead and we touched on the private documents section here. This is not talking about today, but just know if you did want to upload private documents to your club's website that only members of your club will be able to view, you can access this page by going to the Organization tab in the top blue navigation menu. And then you can click Documents in the gray bar just below. And here you'll be able to go through and upload all of your private documents. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and navigate back to our website content. So again, that's website in the top blue navigation bar, and then website content just below. And this time, we're going to go ahead and click on Homepage Download Files. These download files are all public files that can be shared and displayed within the Download Files widget on your club's homepage, custom pages, wherever you decide to put it. Now, it's very important to note that any file that is uploaded to the Download Files section are all 100% public to anyone that visits your website or even just has the link to view that document. There is no security behind it. So if you have any private information or sensitive information in the document that you want to upload, I highly suggest that you instead use the private documents section and set it to requires login. That way, all the documents that you uploaded will be restricted behind being able to log into the club website. Any random person that visits your website will be able to view documents added to your download files. Sorry, I'm a little bit of a privacy nut, so I like to stress that every time I mention it. If you have sensitive information, upload it to private documents. If anything uploaded to download files is 100% public. So we have a couple here already, but we can go ahead and click the orange Add Download File button to where we can go ahead and start uploading things. And you'll see here's another little note: download files are always public. Exercise caution when adding files with private information. Just to push that home just a little bit more. So to upload our document, we can go ahead and enter a title for it. So let's say information for new members. And now we can go ahead and enter in the file by clicking on the browse option. And now we're just going to navigate to wherever we have our information stored. So in this case, I have some documents here. In this particular case, these are some club meeting notes. I don't recommend uploading club meeting notes here. Let's actually rename this. There's actually no content in here. It's just for the sake of an example. Let me go ahead and upload this. Let's rename this just to fit what we have here. I'm just going to rename information and new members. There we go. So we can go ahead and double click on information for new members here. And then we'll see that this file option has now been populated. And then we can go ahead and click on the save button to upload that document to our list. Now, if you have that download files widget available on your homepage, this will, once you refresh that page, this will now appear there for you. So there we go. That's how you can go about uploading download files to your public download files to your website. Now, I know we are a little bit over time. I was going a little bit slow for these stories, so unfortunately, I will need to pick up this pace just a little bit here. So I'm going to go ahead and touch on how you can go about adding things to your website calendar now. So let's actually go ahead and navigate to that calendar. So I believe it should be here. There we go. So this is what your calendar might look like. We have a couple of items here. How can we go about adding things to this calendar? Now, if we go back into our member area and we go under events, the primary way of adding something here is through Event Planner. Event Planner will allow you to go through and host and accept registrations for a number of different events. And whenever you create an event, it will then be populated within that event calendar. We did have another webinar on the Event Planner module, so I won't be going over it today, unfortunately. But I did want to show off some of these other tools that you can use as well. The first one that I want to take a look at is the speakers option. So under the events tab in the top blue navigation menu, we can go ahead and click on speakers. And here is where we can go ahead and add any new records for upcoming speakers for our club. So say you're hosting an event and you've invited someone to come and speak to your club on behalf of a certain topic. Maybe it relates to the event. Maybe it's they're bringing a speech or something like that. You can go ahead and you can add that information here. Maybe they could be presenting a topic however you would like. So we have a couple listed here already. But if we wanted to go ahead and add a new speaker, all we do is click the orange Add New Speaker button. And now we can go through and add information about it. So we can enter in the date by clicking on this little calendar icon. And we can go ahead and select the date that they will be presenting. So let's say that they're presenting today, April 22nd. Oh, sorry, I accidentally held down my keyboard there, so I messed it up a little bit. So we add the date here. And now we can go ahead and add the time. So if you click on this gray box to the right of the second field, it will insert the current time. And then we can use the up and down arrows here to change the hour. So we can set it to say 5. Then we can move over to the minute section by clicking on the right or left arrows to move across the time. And then we can change this to what we would like. So we'll set it to 5 p.m. for now. And if we move over one more time, we can change it to AM or PM. Oh, I'm sorry, I clicked the box. Let me fix that. Of course, if you wanted to, you can type this out as well. With your you can type this out with your keyboard as well. But you can feel free to use these arrow buttons as well. Next, in the speaker field, we can enter in the speaker's name. So let's say we'll enter in Michael C. And then we can go ahead and enter in the topic field, we can enter in the title of whatever thing that they might be speaking on. So here we can type in creating content for your website. If you want to add an image of the individual, you can go ahead and click Browse to select something from your local computer. So let me go ahead and select one here as well. So I'll just pick a random picture. Here we go. And then you can under comments, you can add additional information regarding that the speaker event. So we can say we will touch on a number of topics related to creating content for your website. Then you can choose to display a social media share bar. So just like the story, you can share that it'll allow individuals to share the event across a couple of different social medias. You can say yes or no, this however you would like to use this. And then at the bottom is a privacy consent option. This is required for you to check, and this is just so that you can indicate that you have in fact received consent from the individual whose information you're entering into ClubRunner, so that you can go through and actually store it within ClubRunner. You do require consent from that individual. As long as you have received that consent, go ahead, check this box. And once that's done, we can go ahead and click on the Save button to enter in our new speaker. And now we can see Michael C here has been added for April 22nd, 2023. And if we now go back to our calendar and refresh the page, we can see Michael C here has now been added to the list. And if we click on that name, it'll bring us up to this page where we should see some information about it, but it looks like it's not quite loading for me right now. Typically, well, you'll go through and you'll see some information regarding the images that you've added, the comments that might be added, some information on the topic, the date, stuff like that. Let me see if I can refresh it. There we go. It looks like it took a little bit, took just a moment for it to render an update and create the page. So this is what it looks like. On the left-hand side, you see the image that you've uploaded. Then on the right, you'll see the date, the name of the speaker, the topic, as well as the description you've added to. The next thing that I would like to talk about adding to your calendar is the calendar items. So in the top blue navigation bar, we're still under events. This time we're going to go ahead and click on calendar items recurring. Now, this is a really cool feature that I like to use. And what this will do is will allow you to add recurring meetings or recurring items to your calendar. So let's go ahead and we'll create a new one. For example, we already have the weekly meeting here. So this is something that will occur every week. But if we wanted to create a new one, we just go ahead and click on the orange Add Calendar Item button. We can enter in the name for our calendar item. So let's say monthly webinar. And then you can add a description if you would like. I'll go ahead and I'll leave it blank for now, just for the sake of time. Then you can go ahead and add some additional information. So we can touch on where this, if this is an event or if it's like a meeting or anything like that, you can add in a specific location. So in this case, our webinars are hosted through Zoom. So we can just say Zoom meeting. And if we scroll down just a little before, we have some more information regarding some stuff that we can enter for it, like more address information, latitude, longitude. But the important thing here is the event start date. This is the date of the event or date of the first occurrence of the event. So let's go ahead and set it to today. We can enter in a specific time. So we can say 7 p.m. We can talk about when the event will end. I know I know that we were supposed to be over just a couple of moments ago, but at 8 p.m. But we'll go ahead and enter that in for now. You can select the time zone for your event. And if you want to make sure that the time zone is always displayed, you can go ahead and select this option. Now, the really cool section here is the recurrence. You can either pick between whether this is a one-time event, so this will only add the one item to your calendar, or you can select recurring. And this will go through and allow you to choose how often this event occurs. So you can select between daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. So in this case, we want to set this to a monthly event. And now we can select the actual recurrence. So we can either select to choose a specific day of the month that we can do, or every X amount of days. So we can say, if we choose the first option, the first radio option here, we can say the day 2022 of every 1 month. So this would say the 22nd of every month, we will have an event. We can change this 22 to say the 19th, so that it happens every 19th of the month. Or if we wanted to split this out for every couple of months, we can say every 2 months, every 3 months for it'll happen. We'll go ahead and we'll leave it as every 1 month for now. Or if you only happen on a specific week of a month, so for example, the fourth Saturday of every month, you can do it that way as well. And you can change this to any day of the week and any week itself. We'll go ahead and leave it as every 22nd of the month for now. So now we can see recurrence starts on April 22nd, 2023. And now we can set when do we want the recurring events to end. So we can select never, so that this just goes on, so that this event recurs infinitely. So every month an event will happen. We can choose to end after a certain amount of occurrences. So say we only want 5 items or 5 of these events to happen. So after this event has happened and has recurred 5 times, it will stop. Or you can select a specific date for it to end as well. So these are different ways that you can go about selecting information like this. I'm going to go ahead and set it to end after 5 occurrences. And now all we need to do is click Set Occurrence. And you'll get a nice little message here just confirming what you've set. So day 22 of every 1 month, so every month. And this will happen 5 times. From there, we can go ahead and click Save. And this will now add our monthly webinar to our calendar items. And if we navigate back to our calendar, you can see the monthly webinar has been added for this month. And if we go to May, you can see on the 22nd, we see the monthly webinar again. If we go to June, here's the monthly webinar. July, monthly webinar. August, monthly webinar. And now in September, as this has been 5 months, this has recurred 5 times, we now no longer see that event going on. So this is a really cool tool that you can use to help automate or help create a bulk amount of events that are going to be happening at a specific interval. So this is really useful for things like club meetings. We did have a club meeting calendar item added already. This is a really common use of these calendar items. I know we are a little bit over time, but there is just one or two more things I want to touch on before we get started with our Q&A section. I'll go over these very quickly. The next thing that we want to take a look at is the website sponsors. So in the top blue navigation menu, we're going to go back to website, and then we're going to go ahead and click on website content one more time. If we scroll down, you can see in this center page, we don't actually have anything listed here for sponsors. But along the left-hand menu at the very bottom, you'll see the sponsorship section. Now, earlier, towards the start of the webinar, I did mention that there were some features that were only accessible by level 30 site administrators. And this is one of them. A regular level 60 editor, you would have had access to most of the stuff that we've taken a look at today. If you are level 60, you will actually not have access to the sponsorship section. So I did want to touch on this very quickly, I did want to touch on this really quickly, but just because you have to have a level 30 site administrator access level to access this, I won't spend too much time on it. So what sponsorships do, or what sponsors do, allow you to create advertisements on your website for any other sponsoring organization of your club. So say, for example, you've partnered with a local organization to help host events for your community. You can go ahead and use the sponsorship option to create an advertisement for them on your website. If we go back to our homepage, you can actually see, or actually, sorry, this is a good example. On the calendar page here, and a number of the other built-in pages within ClubRunner, you can see things like the sponsors section. And this is where these sponsors will be listed. So we have a sponsorship for the Helping Hands Foundation, as well as the Healthy Heart Foundation. So this will go ahead and create these sort of advertisements across your website for these organizations. And if we were to click on one of these, it'll go ahead and bring us to their website. In this case, it's set to go to the DuckDuckGo search engine, just because these are just examples. These aren't actual, we're not using actual organizations here. But if you were to click on these, it'll go ahead and direct you to the website that you apply. So how do we create one of these? We're going to go back into our member area and back on this getting started page. At the very bottom, at the top, the very bottom left, you'll find the sponsorship section. Here, we'll click on website sponsors. And this is where we can see the list of all of our sponsors. So we have the Helping Hands Foundation, the website address that it goes to when you click on it, the number of clicks that it has received. So it allows you to track information like that as well as a quick preview of the image that it uses. So let's go ahead and actually create a new sponsor by clicking Add New Sponsor. And then we can go ahead and enter in some basic information regarding the sponsor we're adding. So we can enter in the company name. So let's just say ClubRunner for today, just for the sake of the example. We can add the website address. So this is where you'll enter the address that it'll bring you to whenever you click on the advertisement. So you can go to clubrunner.support.com. If you want to display an image, you can leave is image checked and then select the browse option. Or if you just want to add some text, you can uncheck it and it'll allow you to enter some text here as well. I'm going to go ahead and upload an image. It works exactly the same way as we saw before. It opens up that preview to view the files on your computer. Just double click it to select the file that you want to use. Next, we want to enter in the start and end date for the sponsorship. So say maybe the organization only sponsored you for a year. You can go ahead and enter in that time frame. So we'll say April 23rd to April 23rd, 2024. And then you can always extend this out as much as you would like. The sequence is the order in which the sponsors will be displayed. So on certain widgets, it'll rotate between the sponsors. The sequence will do exactly that. It will determine which order they'll be displayed. If you leave it blank, they will be displayed randomly. So if you want to maybe prioritize certain sponsors, you can set this to say like 1, and then have everything else set to like 2 or 3. And that way, the one that's set to 1 will always be the first one to load on the website and will be the first one that people see. I'm going to leave it blank for now. Sorry about that. Now we can choose to enter in the show in homepage, show in bulletin, show in all secondary pages. So this will allow you to choose where the stuff is displayed. And then here you'll see the number of clicks, the click rate, any additional, you can add additional notes to the sponsor. And then on the bottom, we can add some information regarding the sponsor themselves. So this will be their own information. So let's just enter in, say, ClubRunner support. Oh, sorry, this is the old, there's probably 10. Stitch Park Drive. Oakville, Canada, Ontario, 6H, 5R7. We'll enter in the ClubRunner office address here. And then, of course, at the very bottom is the very same consent option. This is required. So just make sure that you do have consent from the organization to store their data within ClubRunner. And once that's done, we can go ahead and click Save. And now the new ClubRunner sponsor has been added to our website. And if we were to go back to our calendar page here and refresh, oh, looks like it hasn't populated quite yet. Let's go ahead to our homepage, see if it's loaded there. Not quite. Oh, actually, sorry. So it looks like we haven't. So the reason why we don't actually see it here is because we don't have it set to appear on the homepage or anything like that. I thought I did check this. Oh, yeah, here it is. So let me go ahead and let me uncheck these really quickly. That's very strange. Give me one moment. Let me see if I can fix this. That's a little strange. I'm going to have our team look into this. It doesn't look like this seems to be working correctly right now. But typically, once we add our sponsor, and this appear on homepage option should be checked. It will then be displayed within the website sponsors widget, just like you see these ones here, as well as a number of the various different built-in pages like the calendar one, for example. So I want to double check one thing, sorry. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, so it's because I set the start date to April 23rd. So it's actually not going to start being displayed on our website quite yet. That's my fault. Sorry about that. I'm going to set it to April 21st. And now when we save it, there we go. Appear on homepage. All those options are showing up. And now if we refresh the page, oh, still no. Oh, there we go. Here we go. So our website is updated. It looks like we're going to have to wait a little bit for that calendar page to update, unfortunately. But we can see it's now appearing on our homepage here, along with the image that we've uploaded. And if we click on it, it'll open up the page that we've linked to. So this is clubrunnersupport.com. Now, very quickly, I did want to also show you guys how you can go about creating your own custom pages. There are the very basic built-in pages that are provided by ClubRunner, but you can also go through and create your own pages as you like. Now, we're back in the member area here. And all we need to do is go to website, go into website content, and then on the left-hand side, we can go scroll down, and under website content, we can find custom pages. We click on that. It'll bring up this page where we can see a big gallery of all of the custom pages we already have created. So we can open any of these up and edit them. But if you wanted to create a new one, you can go ahead and click Create New Page. And then you'll have access to choose between a bunch of different templates that are provided by ClubRunner. So you can you can see which one you like the most. If you hover over any specific template, you can click on the preview button to take a look at what that template might look like. And if you are happy with any given template, you can go ahead and click on it to select it. It will be highlighted in blue. And then once you go ahead and click Next, the website designer will go ahead and be opened within your browser. And you can go through and start editing this using the website designer. So we did go over this designer yesterday in the website designer webinar, but very quickly, along the top the top of the page, there's this banner where we click on these three icons in the center to preview what the website might look like on different devices. So you can see the desktop, a tablet device, or a mobile phone. On the left-hand side is the preview of our page, where we can do all of the editing for the page itself. And on the right-hand side is where we can access things like the website widgets. If you click and drag on any specific widget and drag and drop it onto the preview, it'll place it there and it'll just start to display that content wherever you would like. Now, again, we did cover this yesterday in the website designer section webinar, so I would recommend that you go and view that webinar to learn more about how to use this. So with all that said, that is just about everything that I wanted to cover for the webinar today. I know we are a little bit over time, but I am going to pass it along to my co-host Robin here, who will be going through and answering a bunch of questions that you guys might have had throughout the course of the webinar. So I'll go ahead and I'll pass it along to you now, Robin. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thanks, Michael. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for the session. So we've got a couple questions here, just a couple generic. Actually, Michael, Debbie actually has a quick question. Could you demonstrate quickly how we can get the contact us button on the menu bar? I assume, Debbie, you mean on the front homepage. So maybe if we could just quickly add the contact us to the.
So are you referring to this? Actually, let me just bring up the full. I believe she's referring to this contact us button here in our navigation menu.
That's my
right?
understanding. Yeah. So Deb, yes, she is exactly. So what we'll do is, could you remove it? Then we'll re-add it for Debbie.
Yeah, for sure. So just as a note, just editing this navigation menu was covered in yesterday's webinar in the website designer. But really quickly to go over this again, in the website designer, and you will need a level 30 access level to do this. You will need to be a site administrator. Well, we can go ahead and hover over edit navigation, click on that the blue box that appears, and it'll show up all of the items that we have added to this navigation menu will appear. And here we have contact us. So I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to delete it just so we can show you how to add this back. Let me collapse everything again. So to add and any specific, it doesn't necessarily have to be the contact us item. It could be any item that you want. We go ahead and click add new menu item. We can enter in a title that we want. So in this case, we want contact us. If you want to add a tooltip, you can. Next, you can select the link type. So in this case, the contact us is a built-in page that ClubRunner has provided. So we can select the built-in page link type. And then we can select the specific page that we want to use. So here's the big drop-down menu. You can go through this list and select any one that you want to use. In this case, contact us is right there. So we'll click on that and select it. And then you can choose to play around with the open a new window or the link style options to kind of change how it appears. For now, we'll leave it as secondary button because I believe that's what it was before. And then we can go ahead and click save. Now we've added that. Let me collapse everything again. We've added that contact us button back to our navigation menu. And now all we need to do is publish the menu to make those changes. And now it's been added back. There you go. That's how you can go a really quick overview of how you can edit the navigation menu. And in this specific case, add that contact us button.
Perfect.
Here, this is what that page looks like, just for the sake of the example. There you go.
Great. So Anne mentions the primary versus secondary. So Anne, that just depends on how the button itself is going to appear. So we'll just change how the button will appear. Yeah, it won't do anything. I'll just change the visual aspect on the navigation itself.
So just as an example, we have a primary button and a secondary button here. So the join our club and the donate today buttons that we have on our navigation menu, those are examples of the primary button. While the contact us one we have here, where it's just kind of like an outline with the text in the center, that will be the secondary option. Now, of course, the colors will change based off of the theme you have selected. So just be aware of that.
Perfect. Okay. So one thing that I think Jan Gray noticed as well is she mentioned that when you're adding the events to the calendar, that some of the colors were different. So the reason why the colors are different is it's based on the event type. So for example, board meetings, if you were to set the event type to general, you would see the specific color, which is just gray. That pink was referring to the speaker, like Michael mentioned. Now those colors that we mentioned are hard coded into the system. We can't change those colors. Yeah, perfect. There we go. So what you'll see is if you, for example, all these right now are just general. So that's why, for example, like Topical Cookout is gray. Then you'll see Johnny Dowie up there on April 26th. Since he's a speaker, it appears that that pink speaker color. So that's what those colors refer to. Now, I am aware that we have had requests to update those colors or make it customizable. So that is something we are looking into.
As another note, while Robin was going over that, you might have saw that I pulled up a page here, manage event types. So here you can actually go through and create your own custom event types. Just like Robin said, you can't actually change the specific color. The colors that are there are all set in stone. You can't change them, unfortunately. But you can create a new custom event type using some of those existing colors. So for example, we create a new type. We can select one of the existing event types already. So say, for example, if we want to, let's go back to our calendar. Let's say we want to use this red color that's used for deadlines. We can select the deadline event type, type in a name of the event type. So let's just say custom event type. And we can click add. This will add that new event type. And now if we refresh the calendar page, it should show there. Yeah, there we go. So now you can see the custom event type is now showing up with that same red color. And then you can go and apply that to your events to change the color. But again, the colors themselves are set in stone.
Awesome. So, okay, and that's more of a bit of feedback. So thank you, and I'll be sure to share that. You just mentioned that you didn't necessarily like the color scheme. So think about the colorblind. I know that it is something that, in terms of accessibility, that we are always looking to improve on. So we'll take that kind of feedback. So David Clark, I think I'm gonna have to follow up with you for your question. I think it's more of a very specific, like a setup issue. So I'll follow up. And just in terms of everybody's aware, I'm going to review the. I'm going to review all the questions that were asked today, just because again they are asked, and I'm trying to answer them live. So we're going to review, make sure we didn't tell anybody anything differently or incorrectly. I'm also going to be sharing some direct changeover trainings, because some of you had some questions that would have been covered in some of the other trainings. So I'll share that all as well. Eve Fraser, I'll send you that link about sending the images as well. So we'll follow up. In terms of, I guess we just quickly want to go over a couple things I mentioned that some revisions that we quickly do. Story characters, the story character limit is 20,000, not 30,000. I apologize for that. Another question that kind of came up pretty frequently was the difference between custom and site page. So custom is really just that. It's a just blank template. You can really do whatever you want. Whereas the site page is a lot more rigid. It's got like it's got the built-in navigation menu on the left. You can't take away that navigation menu. It's great if you need to cover multiple pages to cover a topic, but typically custom page, just think of it. It's a lot more customizable, and we can really present a lot of different information on that page, whereas site page is a lot more rigid.
So just as an additional note for custom pages versus site pages are an older feature that is still available within ClubRunner. We don't typically recommend that you use them. We would recommend that you go for and use the custom pages instead. Custom pages are a lot easier for you to use, and I think they're a lot more intuitive to get a handle on. But site pages, what's cool about these, and we didn't go over this in the actual webinar itself, because again we do push towards custom pages for now. But site pages, let's just say site page. Let me create one really quickly. If we create a site page, these are essentially pre-formatted custom pages in the sense that you're limited in kind of how they're put together. So you can edit the content of the site page just by clicking on this button and adding whatever text. Subpage text. Save and publish. But the cool thing is that with site pages is that you have a dedicated menu for it. So what you can do is, if we click the edit menu button, we can then go ahead. We have we can add what's called sub pages to our site page. So if, for example, we click add new link, and we add in whatever text we want to include there. So say sub page, just for the sake of example. I don't want to spend too much time on this. But we can add a new sub page, change the link type to wherever we want. So we can create a sub, we can select the link type to sub page, and then enter in the sub page name. Choose what group we want it to appear in. We'll leave it as sub pages. Where you want it to appear in the group and whether you want to open a new window, we'll leave those as the default for now. Click save. And now we can enter in content for that sub page. So we can say sub page content. Click save and publish. And now we have another page that is underneath the sub page site page that we just created. And of course, so if I actually go back, will this bring me directly to it, or is this just a preview? I haven't used this in a little bit, so let's see. There we go. So this is a preview of what it might look like. So you have your sponsors on the right. You have your sub page text or sub page site page content in the center. And then you see the menu on the left-hand side. So you can click welcome to go back to your primary sub page, or we click sub page to go into that to move a step down. So this is a really cool way to do that. It lets you create that kind of navigation menu. But again, we typically recommend that you would just use the custom pages. This is a little bit of an older feature. It can be a bit clunky to use right now. But it is, if you want to try to go in and familiarize yourself with this, please feel free. We do have articles on our ClubRunner support website as well.
Perfect.
Sorry, that took a little bit more time than I wanted it to, but
no, that's perfect.
Do we have any other questions, Robin?
No, I think everything else, I'm just going to have to follow up with the individuals after the fact. But yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, perfect. So I did miss one thing during the webinar that I wanted to touch on. Whenever you're going through and you're editing the content on your website, so for example, the club stories here, or like the website sponsors section. I know for an example, when we were looking at the calendar page, the website sponsor section actually didn't update for us. But the same thing can sometimes happen for like the club stories, where you've added a new story to the widget, but it's not showing up on the homepage quite yet. So one way that you can go ahead and you can give it a little bit of a kick to force it to refresh and add that new item. There is a way to do that. In order to do this, you do need to be a level 30 site administrator, just as a heads up. But if we go into our homepage designer and we go to the website or to the widget that we want to have a quick update, and we click on the gear icon or the properties icon for that specific widget, you open up this properties window, and then all you need to do, click the save button, and that will force that widget to refresh, and it will reload any content that's being displayed. So if there's ever for some reason that it's not updating, you can try doing that, provided you have access to if it's on the homepage, you do need the level 30 site administrator access level. If you are working on a custom page, and you have access to that custom page, you should be able to do it there without any issues. But on the homepage, you will need a level 30 site administrator access level. So that is just a quick note for everyone about that. Very good. So with all of that said, thank you very much, everyone, for sending in all of your questions. I'm sure Robin had a great time going through and getting those answered for all of you. So with all that said, I do want to wrap it up here. There was a lot of information. I know we went a little bit over time, actually quite a bit. So I would like to apologize to you all for that. But I hope you're all able to go through and have a fantastic rest of your weekend.